This is Wei Zhao, and I'm going to be your instructor for today. Alright, so we'll be going over the Musket class now. You have two specific ultimates. You have Black Powder Grenade, and you have 5 rounds Rapid. So essentially, you have one ultimate where you deal a lot of damage very fast, and you have an ultimate where you deal still a decent amount of damage, but also CCing them. So this will really depend on what type of musket do you want to be. Do you want to CC people while doing damage, or are you just looking for a straight out flat damage build? Flat damage build, I would use a 5 rounds ultimate. CC build, I would use Black Powder Grenade. So the other skills that you'll want to be using is Skirmisher, Fine Gunpowder, and Scattershot. Although there are other skills, those are the main ones that you want to use aside from your ultimate. So Skirmisher is hands down used by every musket player. Essentially, you're leaping backwards, so when someone's up in your face, you don't really want to be in that situation. So while using Skirmisher, you can see with your level 3 Skirmisher, you'll actually place caltrops in your current position before backing down or leaping backwards, sorry. And caltrops essentially reduce enemies' movement speed by 50%. So you gain distance from an enemy, and then now they're also struggling to catch up to you. And by the time they've caught up to you, you've essentially reloaded, dealt enough damage, or you keep sprinting away, and sometimes they give up since you're just so far after skirmisher now. And also, this removes concussion and dazed effects from other people. So if you, for some reason, you have your back turned to someone, they CC you, sometimes you could use skirmisher to get out of the CC and also have that distance now. The two other skills that I like to use, Fine Gunpowder and Scattershot, synergize as well with each other. So Scattershot is essentially another shot that you could use, and it's a blast of 12 shots. So it's kind of like a shotgun. Fine Gunpowder shortens reload, and it pretty much, as soon as your animation is done for your gunpowder, your reload is done. So with this, you want to use Fine Gunpowder first or Scattershot first. It really depends on which cooldown, but usually you want to use Fine Gunpowder first just because it increases damage by 16%. So you use Fine Gunpowder, you reset your auto attack, and then right away you want to use Scattershot. So if you auto attack, use Fine Gunpowder, auto attack a second time, and then use Scattershot, you've just dealt essentially 3 bursts of damage in a short amount of time. And if you're rolling with the CC ultimate, Black Powder Grenade, you could usually do all of that, or at least Scattershot and Fine Gunpowder while they're knocked down. For skirmishers, people like to use close combat. While they're knocked down from Black Powder Grenade, you're essentially moving forward in front of them to try to deal headshot damage or crit damage while they're knocked down. And as soon as they get back up, you use close combat to knock them back down and then continue dealing damage. Apart from the 4 main skills, you have close combat, liquid fire, and deploy caltrops. So close combat is pretty much another CC dealing skill where you knock them down. Some people use close combat, and it really depends on what you're substituting out of it. Essentially, some people use Black Powder Grenade, walk up to the enemy while they're knocked down, deal some crit damage, deal maybe a headshot, and then as soon as they're getting back up, use close combat, knock them back down, and deal more damage while they can't touch you. One thing you do want to be careful of, if the enemy hero that you're knocking down with close combat has a removed dazed skill, they could essentially use that as soon as you hit them with close combat, and they'll get back up to their feet, and they're essentially close quarters with you. So when you're using close combat, you want to make sure that you have Skirmisher available if possible. For liquid fire, you're essentially throwing the skill or throwing that bomb into a mass of ranged units. So you're punishing ranged units for being grouped together, whether that be gun units, crossbow units, or archers. The main reason why you don't necessarily see a lot of people running this or utilizing this skill a lot is because if you're trying to punish long ranged units, at that point, either play longbow or honestly, just throw your black powder grenade. For deployed caltrops, I personally wouldn't want to use the skill just because Skirmisher already deploys caltrops in that same skill. So sometimes I don't need two slowing abilities and instead just have one. That way I have more room for damaging abilities. So Musket is a medium armor class where you want to mainly play around with your reload. So for Musket, you have a specific reload time per shot. Whereas if you roll, if you start sprinting, if you get hit once, your reload gets reset back to the start and you have to pretty much reload the whole thing again. So as soon as you get comfortable with Musket, you get over that reload mechanic, you could punish a lot of players, especially with your black powder grenade. For attribute, you can mainly run full strength or full agility. With full strength, you're essentially playing with your black powder grenade since strength increases your blunt damage and piercing damage, or sorry, piercing penetration. Whereas full agility again is piercing damage. So full agility, you have less damage with your black powder grenade, but your other skills like scatter shot and fine gunpowder and even just your regular auto attack will deal a lot more. I've seen a build of half-half, but I don't really recommend it. Usually with musket, you want a full commit strength or you want a full commit agility. The next weapon that we'll be going over is the Nodachi. Now the Nodachi has gone through a lot of changes and a lot of skill changes more specifically. Essentially with this class, you're using a high risk, high reward weapon where you're really focused on landing your combos and consistently being annoying with your CC. So for the Nodachi, the three main skills that you're mainly using is Bloodthirsty, Tiger's Claw, and Blood Oath. Now Blood Oath clears the cooldowns of essentially every skill that you have other than your ult. So you can knock them down using Bloodthirsty, Tiger's Claw to deal damage while they're knocked down, and then you could proc Blood Oath, reset your cooldown, knock them down again, and then use Tiger's Claw again if need be. So essentially you have two knockdowns right away if you could play around your Blood Oath and Bloodthirsty synergy well. So those are the three main skills that you want to use. The fourth skill is always interchangeable, either Dragon Sleep or I've seen people use Fearless and Steadfast. So those are the usually two interchangeable fourth skill. Monster's Blade essentially consumes your Bloodlust and or Bloodbath and provides a healing effect. So when you're playing Nodachi, you actually have a hidden passive where you get rewarded by landing your skills. And it pretty much you get a stack of Bloodlust. And Bloodlust is essentially a stack that increases your lifesteal. So if you have a full stack of Bloodlust, some people like to play with Monstrous Blade if they could use their Bloodlust very well. You have your full stack of Bloodlust, you pop Monstrous Blades, you're in the middle of enemy units, and essentially you're life stealing a whole lot amount. You use Tiger's Claw, you life steal. You use Bloodthirsty, you life steal, but not as much. You use a basic auto attack, you life steal. So if you could play around with that passive well, Monstrous Blades could be very beneficial. However, people just like to use Fearless and Steadfast because you gain a stack of Bloodlust and you have a 3% life drain. So right after using Fearless and Steadfast, you get a life drain using that skill and other skills. So if you need health and you're not necessarily using Monstrous Blade, you could use Fearless and Steadfast, and also Tiger's Claw. Since Tiger's Claw could restore up to 1200. For attributes, you're usually going full agility. So the Spear class is a medium armor class where you're essentially dealing burst amount of damage for a short time, punishing people, and being able to escape. So when you're on your horse, Spear is very good when running cavalry, just because you have a skill that increases your movement speed and deals damage. So you have two ultimates, Dragon's Roar and Heaven's Fury. Heaven's Fury just doesn't get used a lot, despite of recent buffs, just because Dragon's Roar synergizes so well. So for example, if you're on your horse, if you use your dismount skill, enemies are knocked down. And since they're knocked down, if they don't have a removed dazed skill, they're knocked down, allowing you a free ultimate hit with Dragon's Roar. Although you could technically say it's a free ultimate hit with Heaven's Fury too, Dragon's Roar is just far more beneficial. The other skill that you want to be running is a Lose March. Not only does it remove concuss and dazed effects, but it actually blocks skills and damages or attacks in front of you. Now, the first extra effect says it can block arrow attacks incoming from your front, but what it doesn't say is it can block more than that. For example, if a spear is in front of you and they're running Dragon's Roar, if they use Dragon's Roar while you're using Lose March, for some reason, although it's not an arrow attack, you will be able to deflect its whole damage. Along with Dragon's Roar, there's a whole list of enemy abilities that you could also block with Lose March. However, that really depends on how well you want to counter people's ability. So although you're punishing people by dealing high amounts of damage, you have this very utilized skill where if you use it properly, not only for damage and not only to remove concuss and daze, you can really catch people off guard by mitigating a lot of damage that enemy is trying to do to you. Now the other most mainly used skill with Spear is the Spear Kick. It removes dazed effect and reduces the target's block. I would keep it as it removes dazed effect and it just completely removes the target's block. Although it says reduced, your enemy pretty much has no block. So a lot of people, what they like to do is if an enemy is right clicking trying to block you, you could use the Spear Kick, remove their block, and they go through an animation where it kind of looks like they're stunned, although they're not really stunned. You could use your ultimate right away. And essentially, this is helping you because now they're not blocking. You're essentially dealing full damage with your ultimate if you're able to land it. Overhead Strike is a damaging skill. However, it's not really used compared to other damaging abilities that I'll go over. Return of Jangar. So this is a skill that is interchangeable. So the main reason why if you guys want to run this is because as you can see, it knocks people back. So if you don't land your horse dismount to knockdown, this skill will allow you to CC an enemy and immediately ult them. So if you want to rely on a easy ultimate land while an enemy is CC without relying on anyone else CCing the enemy for you, you can use its Jangar skill, knock them back, and land a free Dragon's Roar. Hurricane's Edge is also one of the mainly used spear abilities. The main reason for this is because it hits all enemies around you, and not only that, but it kind of stuns them with each successive attack. So each time you hit them with this ability, they're kind of consistently pushed back, as you can see what's happening in the video. So you could easily punish a hero by not letting them roll, not letting them use an escape, by consistently using Hurricane's Edge. And you're essentially annoying the enemy player at this point. Now the last skill is Greeting skill, where as you can see, you kind of lunge forward and then you do a spin attack. It's just not generally used compared to the other abilities. For attributes, you want to be running full agility with your spear. I hope you enjoyed and thanks for watching.